Okay, let's unpack this. We've got the numbers in for the August 2025 retail performance snapshot, the big one, the CNBC NRF Retail Monitor.
Yep. Powered by Affinity Solutions.
Exactly. And look, we're not just going to read numbers here. The goal of this deep dive really is to figure out what this very polarized spending map means for you if you're a tech startup selling into retail.
That's the core question. Where is the budget actually going? Who's spending on tech for growth, and who's just trying to, well, tighten the belt and focus purely on efficiency?
And just to set the stage, the reason this report carries so much weight, it's the sheer scale of the data, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's foundational.
Yeah.
We're not talking surveys or estimates here. This is real transaction data.
How much are we talking?
Over 140 million credit and debit cards. Think about that. It captures almost $500 billion in annual spending. So it's about as close to a real-time, reliable view of retail health as you can possibly get, especially for August 2025.
All right, let's jump into the macro picture then, the overall health check. If you just glance at the year-over-year figures, things actually look pretty decent.
On the surface, yes.
Total retail sales, and this excludes gas and auto, the really volatile stuff, they grew 5.27% compared to last August, unadjusted.
A solid number.
And then core retail sales, which takes out restaurants too, that looked even better, 6.67% growth year over year. Again, unadjusted, looks robust.
Looks robust, yeah.
Yeah.
But those numbers, they're looking backwards, aren't they? They tell you things were better than August last year.
Okay. So where's the catch?
The catch is when you switch to the month-over-month trend, seasonally adjusted. That's where you see, well, someone slammed on the brakes hard in August.
Right, I saw that. July had some real momentum, didn't it? And then August just fizzled.
Fizzled is a good word. Total monthly growth in August was, wait for it, just 0.23%.
0.23. After what, in July?
After a pretty strong 1.45% jump in July, that's a huge deceleration. And core monthly growth, same story. It was only 0.26% in August. That's way down from 1.55% the month before.
Okay, that is a sharp slowdown. But hang on, isn't August sometimes a bit slower anyway? Back to school's ending, people are taking last vacations before the holiday push. Why is a drop from 1.5% to like 0.2% such a red flag? Should retailers really panic and cut tech budgets based on that?
What's the rate of change, the suddenness of it? Going from strong momentum to almost flat suggests underlying instability, or at least rapidly increasing consumer caution. The annual numbers might say, hey, we're still up overall, but that sharp monthly drop whispers, demand right now is cooling fast.
And that whisper is enough to make CFOs nervous.
Absolutely. It's the kind of signal that makes them pause those big, nice-to-have, growth-focused projects. The major software implementations that cost millions. Those get put on hold first. So if your startup isn't selling into a sector that buck this trend, you need to brace for potential budget freezes.
Okay, message received. Caution across the board. But let's pivot to where the money is flowing, because this report really highlights that polarization you mentioned. Some sectors clearly ignored the slowdown. These are the retailers likely investing in tech to scale, right?
Exactly. This is where it gets really interesting. There are definite winners who seem to be operating in a completely different economic reality.
And who's leading the pack?
No contest, really. It continues to be digital products. This isn't just growth. It's almost exponential. They're completely defying gravity here.
The numbers are wild. Year-over-year growth for digital products in August, nearly 26%.
25.98% to be exact.
Yeah.
And crucially, their monthly growth stayed strong too at 1.58%. They didn't see that broader slowdown at all.
Okay, so if you're a tech startup, this is target number one. These guys aren't just surviving, they're booming.
They're booming. And their biggest problem isn't saving money. It's managing the sheer volume and chaos of that growth. They need help scaling fast.
So what kind of tech solutions are they desperate for right now? If they're growing at 26%, what breaks first?
Good question. First, it's planning. Demand is huge, but potentially volatile. They need really sophisticated AI-driven merchandise planning. Think tools that can adjust forecasts almost daily, not quarterly. This is where a platform like, say, Tulio, which focuses on that advanced merchandise planning, becomes incredibly valuable. They need to manage that inventory risk at high speed.
Makes sense. You can't afford stockouts or overstocks when demand is that hot but unpredictable. Well, what's next? Getting the product out the door.
Precisely. Fulfillment and logistics.
Yeah.
At that kind of volume, the supply chain is under immense pressure. So Startups offering advanced warehouse management, fulfillment optimization, supply chain visibility. Something like Yadistry, perhaps, if they're focused on smoothing out those logistics kinks, they become essential. You have to
Yeah.
deliver on the speed promise.
Okay, planning, fulfillment.
Right.
What about keeping all those new customers?
That's the third critical piece. Customer lifetime value. When you're adding customers that quickly, you have to maximize how much they spend and ensure they stick around. So solutions focused on deep customer data insights, personalization, segmentation, maybe like OmniStream or Harmonia, if they're offering sophisticated customer data platforms. Those are priority investments. They need to build loyalty at scale.
So for digital products, planning, fulfillment, customer value, all about scaling. Got it. Now, what about the next tier of winners? You mentioned it wasn't just digital.
Right. There's a cluster of sectors that also did quite well, suggesting consumers are still spending on, let's call it self-expression and experiences, provided it's not a huge commitment.
Like clothes.
Exactly. Clothing and accessories had strong year-over-year growth, 8.26%. Also, hobbies and experiences, things sporting goods, hobby stores, music, bookstores, they were up even more, almost 9% year-over-year.
8.96%, yeah. And dining out.
Food services and drinking places also showed robust growth, 7.4% year-over-year. And like digital, they had strong monthly growth too. People are definitely still going out to eat and drink.
Okay, so if I'm selling tech, say, to an apparel chain or a restaurant group doing well, how is my pitch different than selling to that exploding digital product company?
It's less about managing pure exponential chaos and more about engagement and operational agility. For apparel, it's about rapid fashion forecasting, reacting to trends quickly, agile supply chains. For restaurants, it's about efficient operations, managing labor, speeding up service now that they're busy again. The tech spend here is supporting customer engagement and managing higher volume, often in the physical world. Still growth-focused, but maybe a different flavor of growth.
Okay, now, let's flip the coin. We've seen the winners. Let's talk about the sectors feeling the pain, the ones under real pressure. You mentioned budget scissors earlier. Who's doing the cutting?
Yeah, this is where the focus shifts dramatically. From scaling and growth, we move squarely into efficiency and margin protection. Survival mode, almost. And the data paints a very clear picture. Anything related to big-ticket discretionary spending, especially around the home, is really struggling.
Oh, boy. I'm looking at building and garden supplies. That's not just struggling, is it?
No, it's dire.
A negative year-over-year change, minus 7.77% in August. And a strong monthly decline, too, down 2.13%, minus nearly 8% year-over-year. I mean, put that in context, that's not a soft patch, that's falling off a cliff.
It really is. That signals a fundamental stop in major home projects.
Yeah.
You know, after years of pandemic-fueled renovations, maybe people are just done. Or maybe it's higher interest rates, credit card debt, or like we saw, they're shifting that spending back to experiences instead of redoing the patio. Whatever the reason, big DIY projects seem to be on hold.
And it's not just the hardcore building materials, is it? The weakness spreads.
Absolutely. Look at furniture and home furnishings. Yeah, it showed modest year-over-year growth, about 3%, but month-over-month, almost completely flat. People are putting off buying that new sofa or dining table.
And electronics.
Electronics and appliances, same story. Moderate growth year-over-year, around 3.5%, but monthly sales actually declined slightly. So across the board, for big-ticket home-related items, consumers are pulling back. The splurge is over.
Okay, so let's say I'm a retail tech startup founder, and my prospect list is full of, I don't know, home furnishing chains or DIY retailers. What does my sales pitch absolutely have to nail right now?
Forget growth. Forget expansion. Your pitch has to be laser-focused on cost savings, operational efficiency, and margin preservation. Ruthlessness, basically.
Ruthlessness.
Yeah. They are looking for tools that help them optimize inventory they already have, improve their core planning to avoid more bad buys, and find ways to cut waste and labor costs drastically. If your solution can't show a clear, quick, measurable ROI specifically on saving them money or protecting their shrinking margins, the door's closed. The conversation is over.
So we have these two completely different worlds emerging from the data. Let's try and synthesize this specifically for the tech vendors listening. How should they be thinking about their messaging?
It really boils down to two distinct budget conversations, two different value propositions.
Okay, walk us through them. Conversation one, the high growth sectors like digital apparel experiences.
Right. For them, you're selling revenue maximization. Your pitch is about enabling growth.
Right.
You talk about metrics like customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, increasing throughput, managing scale. How does your tech help them capture more of that massive demand without their systems buckling?
And this is where tools focused on advanced planning, fulfillment, or customer data platforms come in.
Exactly. That's the sweet spot for solutions like Tulio for planning, maybe Decisiory for logistics, or OmniStream and Harmonia if they're driving customer value and personalization. It's about fueling the fire.
Okay. Now, conversation two. The low traction areas, building supplies, home furnishings, the ones in decline.
For them, you're selling cash flow optimization and survival. Forget maximizing revenue. It's about minimizing losses. The focus has to be on solving the immediate inventory crisis and cutting costs.
So what kind of tools? You mentioned inventory optimization.
Yes, but it's more than just knowing what you have. It's about intelligent liquidation, pricing intelligence, tools that can identify precisely which slow-moving items are clogging up which stores and figure out the optimal markdown price to get rid of them fast, but without giving them away entirely.
You used the term granular assortment intelligence earlier. Is that what you mean? Knowing exactly which sofa isn't selling in Ohio and pricing it to move.
Precisely that. It's the opposite of growth planning. It's surgical reduction. How do we clear out this existing stock that's tying up cash and space and do it in the smartest way possible to preserve whatever margin is left? This is where, platforms specializing in that kind of pricing optimization or detailed assortment intelligence, maybe like Tembi or, again, Harmonia, if they focus on that granular level, become absolutely critical.
It's automating the painful process of shrinking.
Exactly. They help manage the decline efficiently. Every sale, even clearance sale, needs to contribute as much as possible to the bottom line.
Yeah.
Survival is the angle.
It really is a stark contrast. A tale of two retail worlds. One side buying tech to manage explosive growth, the other buying tech to manage a painful contraction.
Defined by this polarization, absolutely.
Okay, before we wrap this up, let's quickly revisit that methodology point you made earlier. The fact that this CNBC NRF monitor uses actual transaction data and, crucially, isn't revised later, like some government reports. Why is that so important for the startups listening?
It's credibility and stability. If you're a startup building your own sales forecasts or trying to target your resources effectively, you need reliable, high-frequency data. You can't base your strategy on estimates that might change significantly a month later.
Right.
This monitor gives you that stable snapshot. It's timely, it's based on real spending, and it doesn't get revised away. That allows tech companies to more confidently decide, okay, this is where the growth is, so we send our scale team there. And this is where the pain is, so we send our efficiency team there.
Makes sense. So the key takeaway for everyone listening today, August 2025 shows retail spending is incredibly segmented. If you're selling tech into this space, you need crystal clarity on your value proposition.
Yeah.
Are you fueling the expansion for those 8% plus growth sectors?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you providing the essential, measurable margin protection and efficiency gains needed by the sectors, shrinking by almost 8%? Your pitch, your product focus, even your roadmap, it all needs to align with which side of that divide you serve.
Absolutely. And that actually leads to a final thought, something for you to chew on. The source material itself mentioned something interesting. It noted that there were adjustments needed because retailers are constantly tweaking how they code their card transactions, especially as the lines between physical and digital or different types of merchandise keep blurring.
Ah, the classification itself is shifting.
Exactly. So given that underlying data can be a bit fluid, how critical is it now for retail tech solutions, particularly those doing analytics, planning, forecasting? How critical is it for them to build in flexibility? Flexibility in how they categorize data, how they attribute sales.
So the ability to adapt their own systems as the definition of retail itself keeps changing?
Precisely. Maybe that adaptability, that internal flexibility to handle shifting data categories is actually becoming one of the most vital features for the next generation of retail tech. Something to think about.